Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in every soul's journey when silence becomes too loud to bear. When the weight of what we've allowed, what we've tolerated, what we've become presses too heavy upon the spirit. And in that moment, that sacred pause between who we are and who we ache to be, we are given a choice. Not all chains rattle. Some slip around your days soft as silk, calling themselves comfort, whispering convenience, dressing themselves in the fabric of routine. But oh, make no mistake, a habit, weak and worn, will build you a prison just the same. We are not born bound, we are built bound, brick by brick, compromise by compromise. And yet, my friends, within each of us lies a fire, quiet but steady, waiting for the breath of truth to rise. This is not about shame. This is not about blame. This is about becoming bold enough to look your reflection in the eye and say, I see you, and I see more in you than this. Because we are not what we repeat, we are what we choose to rise above. So today, we do not gather to talk about change. No, we gather to demand it of ourselves. The first strike of the hammer is simple. Kill the habit before it kills the dream. And from that broken ground, rebuild wiser, stronger, freer. In every heart there lies a quiet revolution, a testament to the battles fought in the shadowed corridors of our inner lives. It is the unspoken truth that every person, at one time or another, has felt the weight of invisible struggles as if carrying a cargo that only they can sense. There is a poignant beauty in admitting that life is not a succession of effortless triumphs, but a journey dotted with obstacles, challenges that often go unnoticed by the world, yet shape the very core of our. In the silent hours of the night, when the mind is at its most reflective, we acknowledge that these struggles are not an anomaly, but a constant companion to the human spirit, a reminder of our fragility and, paradoxically, our capacity for resilience. Sometimes the burdens we bear are as vivid as they are unyielding, painted in broad strokes across our days. They reveal themselves in the moments when the heart feels heavy and the soul aches under the weight of expectation. We have all, at one time or another, found ourselves entangled in the demands of a harsh world, a world that challenges our dreams, tests our patience, and seeks to carve us into shapes that we might never truly wish to become. These visible struggles might be seen as the battles we wage against injustice, the hardships imposed by circumstance, or the struggles to hold on to dignity in the face of overwhelming odds. And yet, these external conflicts are only the tip of the iceberg. Beneath the surface, countless unseen struggles simmer, quiet wars waged in the confines of our mind and spirit. These are the moments when self-doubt creeps into our thoughts, whispering of inadequacies that we dare not reveal. Every smile that graces our lips may hide a storm of inner conflict. Each laugh a subtle effort to mask the sorrow that whispers from the depths of our memory. In this quiet theater of the soul, our battles are fought against the relentless tide of fear, uncertainty, and a ceaseless longing for It is a struggle that is deeply personal, yet universally shared. A thread that ties together every human story with the common bond of vulnerability and the unyielding desire to overcome. To admit that we carry these burdens is not to surrender to them, but rather to recognize the intricate tapestry of our existence. Each challenge, whether carved into the landscape of our outward lives or etched into the secret recesses of our inner worlds, contributes to the mosaic of who we are. There is dignity in acknowledging that we are all, in some way, prisoners of our own circumstances, each of us confined by chains that may be invisible to others, yet weigh heavily upon our shoulders. This honest recognition is a form of liberation, for it opens the door to compassion, the understanding that our struggles are not marks of weakness, but indelible impressions of a life lived with courage. When we speak of human struggle, we speak of a universal song, a ballad composed of sorrow and hope, despair and resilience. The notes of this song are played out in the everyday moments of life. The quiet despair of a lonely evening, the burst of laughter that follows the remembrance of a once embattled past, the silent determination that rises each morning, and the courage that flares against the darkness of adversity. It is a music that resonates deep within us, a reminder that even in our most harrowing hours, we are not alone. This melody binds us together in shared experience, a testament that every soul is a battlefield where the forces of light and shadow dance in an intricate, never-ending waltz. In the heart of the struggle lies not only pain, but also the promise of transformation. Each hardship confronted and each battle fought cultivates strength within us. A quiet power that builds slowly like the steady growth of a mighty oak from a single acorn. There is profound wisdom in our wounds, for they are the mirrors that reflect the contours of our true self. They reveal the scars that mark our journey, each one a story of survival, of a moment when we chose to rise above the despair, to fight back against the tide of defeat. It is through these trials that we learn to honor our own resilience and, in doing so, recognize the infinite capacity of the human spirit to mend, to rebuild, and to shine anew. Every individual harbors a narrative of struggle, a narrative that weaves together the tangible with the intangible. The physical scars we bear from battles fought on unfamiliar terrains find their counterpart in the emotional bruises that linger long after the storm is past. When we set aside our pride and allow ourselves to acknowledge these dual realities, we pave the way for a deeper and more authentic form of healing. It is in the raw, unguarded moments that we realize our strength comes not from the absence of fear or pain, but from the grace with which we confront them. In this shared experience of human vulnerability, there exists an unspoken fellowship. Each of us a silent witness to the power of the human heart that beats in defiance of the odds. The act of bearing witness to our own struggles is an act of radical honesty, a commitment to ourselves that we will not hide behind masks of pretense. It is a bold declaration that we are more than the sum of our failures or our setbacks. We are intricate, multifaceted beings capable of both suffering and sublime transformative beauty. This recognition does not demand that we become defined by our pain, but rather that we honor it as an essential part of our journey. In the delicate interplay between vulnerability and strength, we find the raw material from which great lives are built. It is in these moments of candid self-reflection that the roots of resilience take hold, nourishing a spirit that is determined to rise again, no matter how many times it may have fallen. In our quietest moments, when the noise of the world subsides, we are left with the profound truth that our struggles are as much a part of us as our triumphs. They form the quiet undercurrent of our existence, a force that challenges us to grow, to adapt, and to embody the unyielding essence of what it means to be human. The path may be fraught with hardship, and the journey may be long and arduous, but it is this very struggle that forges our character and strengthens our resilience. It teaches us that even in the face of relentless adversity, our spirit can emerge unbroken, a testament to the enduring power of hope and the infinite capacity for renewal that resides within us all. There is a sublime poetry in acknowledging our collective struggle, a poetry that speaks of scars and solace, of pain and perseverance, weaving together the threads of our experiences into a rich tapestry that is uniquely our own. The story of the human heart is one of continual evolution, a dynamic narrative where every setback plants the seeds of future victory, where each tear shed becomes becomes nourishment. It is this very acknowledgement of our shared pain that allows us to draw strength from one another, to stand together in solidarity, and to recognize that every battle fought in the quiet chambers of our hearts is a step towards a more profound understanding of what it means to live fully, to love fiercely, and to embrace the beauty that arises from the ashes of our past. And so, in the quiet spaces between each heartbeat, we recognize that our struggles are not just burdens to bear, but also the raw, untempered substance from which our greatest triumphs are born. The journey through pain is not an isolated expedition, but a shared pilgrimage, one where the acknowledgement of our shared human fragility becomes the catalyst for an enduring resilience that can overcome the deepest of wounds. In the telling of our own silent battles, we discover a common thread, a narrative of humanity that binds us together, resilient and radiant in our relentless pursuit of a life rich with purpose, passion, and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. There is a stirring call that emanates from the deep chambers of our soul, beckoning us to claim the reins of our own lives, to stand firm in the realization that every choice we make forms the intricate blueprint of our destiny. This call is not loud in its proclamation, nor does it parade itself in grandiose gestures. Instead, it whispers in the quiet moments of solitude and reflection, reminding us that the power to shape our lives lies not in the hands of fate or the mercy of circumstance, but firmly within each of us. We are the authors of our own narratives, the painters of our own canvases, and it is through the acceptance of personal responsibility that our truest selves emerge. In the everyday dance of life, it becomes all too easy to pass the blame, to attribute our failures to external forces, or to surrender to the notion that we are mere victims of a merciless. But there is an undeniable strength that lies in the admission of our own accountability, a strength that propels us from the murk of regret into the luminous light of possibility. Recognizing our responsibility is a quiet revolution. It begins with the simple yet profound step of acknowledging that every action, every hesitation, and every choice carves a part of our future. When we step into this circle of accountability, we begin to see that the power to transform our lives is not something waiting to be granted by someone else. It is the birthright of every soul daring enough to embrace it. This realization is both a heavy burden and a liberating truth. There is weight in understanding that the path we tread is the result of our own making, and this weight can sometimes feel akin to an unyielding gravity. However, it is within this gravity that the seeds of transformation are sown. For in every moment of self-accountability, we find the courage to rewrite old narratives and to forge paths that lead us away from the shadow of past mistakes. Each day offers us a canvas, and with every sunrise there is a silent promise, a promise that we, in our power, can choose differently. It is not that life ceases to be difficult or that the challenges vanish. Rather, it is our recognition that we hold the pen that writes our story which makes all the difference. When we accept personal responsibility, we also learn to honor the deep lessons that life imparts. It is through facing the outcomes of our choices, both joyous and sorrowful, that we come to understand the full spectrum of our human experience. There is a raw, unembellished truth in knowing that our successes are not solely the work of luck, nor are our missteps the simple product of misfortune. Instead, each outcome is a reflection of choices made, intentions set, and actions taken. In the mirror of self-responsibility, we see the unvarnished truth of our human condition, that we are both the architects and the inhabitants of our inner world. This journey of responsibility is not an easy one, for it asks us to confront the parts of ourselves we would rather keep hidden. It bids us to look into the depths of our being, to meet our shortcomings with unguarded honesty, and to challenge the very habits that have time and again led us astray. There is a formidable bravery in this act of introspection. It is a daily act of courage that requires us to stand in the light, stripped of excuses and pretenses, to acknowledge our faults, and in doing so, to chart a course towards growth. In this precarious balance of self-awareness and accountability, we discover that the power to overcome is not some far-flung dream, but a tangible reality that ignites the spirit. Every step taken on this path is an affirmation of our commitment to our own potential. It is the silent revolt against a culture that too often looks outward for the causes of our setbacks, rather than digging deep into the heart of our own experience. By taking responsibility, we reclaim the narrative that has been written about us by circumstance, shifting it towards a script that we craft with intention and vision. It is in these moments of deliberate choice that the alchemy of self-transformation begins. We learn that we are not passively molded by forces beyond our control, but are active participants in our journey through life. This truth, while humbling, is also immensely empowering. When we speak of personal responsibility, we are not speaking of blame or guilt. Rather, we speak of a clear-sighted acknowledgement that our lives are made up of the sum of our decisions. This acknowledgement is both a call and a challenge to wake up each day with the firm resolve that the quality of our lives is determined not by external chaos, but by the steady choices we make in the face of it. It is a recognition that even the smallest decision, to speak kindly when anger tempts us to lash out, to choose understanding over prejudice, to rise each time we fall, carries with it the power to reshape not only our immediate circumstances, but the very fabric of who we are. In the everyday moments where choice meets chance, personal responsibility stands as a cornerstone of our existence. It teaches us that regrets are not chains to be worn indefinitely, but lessons from which wisdom is drawn. When we own our decisions, the path to self-empowerment is lit by the unwavering beacon of accountability. This is not merely a philosophical stand. It is a call to action that vibrates in the heart of every person willing to embrace the truth that we are the guardians of our destiny. It is a reminder that in every fall, in every setback, there lies the seed of a comeback, a resurrection powered by the realization that the true measure of our lives is found in the strength of our will to rise. There is a transformation that occurs when we accept responsibility for our actions, a slow, deliberate unfolding of potential that can alter the course of a lifetime. This transformation is marked not by grand gestures, but by the quiet, persistent effort to do better, to be more, and to live truthfully. It is in the moments of self-reflection that we begin to see the beauty of our own evolution. The awareness that we are the sum of our choices fills us with a sense of agency, a quiet confidence that our future is not dictated by chance, but by the meticulous craft of our own hand. In each moment of accountability, we encounter the rare opportunity to step away from the familiar confines of old habits and to cultivate a life that is rich with purpose and passion. To carry the mantle of personal responsibility is to understand that every moment holds the potential for reinvention. It is an invitation to discard the weight of blame and to embrace a mindset where every day becomes a canvas upon which we paint our deepest aspirations. In this ever-unfolding journey, there is a profound lesson that our power lies not in the circumstances imposed upon us, but in the choices we make in response to those circumstances. Each decision we render is a brushstroke in the portrait of our lives, a moment where we assert our will to guide our destiny with clarity and conviction. Thus, the power of personal responsibility is woven into the very fabric of our existence. It is a quiet force that, once acknowledged, liberates us from the chains of helplessness and inspires us to take bold, unyielding steps toward a future that reflects our truest desires. It is this knowledge, a humble yet magnificent truth, that whispers to us in the stillness of our hearts, "You hold the power." And it is in that power, boldly claimed, that the seeds of transformation blossom, nurturing a life defined not by the errors of the past, but by the promise of what lies ahead. Habits, those quiet architects of our daily existence, work silently behind the scenes, molding our character and shaping our paths without fanfare or proclamation. They are the secret crafters of our day-to-day lives, each one a soft, persistent murmur that guides our actions and thoughts, often without our conscious consent. In the dim light of early mornings, as we stir from sleep, it is these very habits that beckon us toward routines once set in motion by countless yesterdays. They whisper reminders of what is comfortable, what is known, and what has been etched into the architecture of our souls, building walls and bridges that contour the landscape of our lives. Imagine, if you will, the gentle hum of a river carving its way through an ancient valley, steadily eroding stone and sculpting new paths over long stretches of time. In much the same way, our habits, persistent and relentless, have a way of forming the channels through which our life flows. They are the unseen currents that determine the direction of our journey, the quiet forces that hold together the mosaic of our past and future. Each action, repeated without much thought, becomes as natural as the rhythm of the seasons, embedded deep within our being and resilient in the face of the fiercest storm. Much like an artisan chiseling delicate patterns into wood, habits etch their signature into the fabric of our character, sometimes subtly, sometimes boldly, but always with an undeniable precision. There is a peculiar beauty in recognizing that these patterns of behavior, though often taken for granted, are the bedrock upon which our daily experiences are built. Each seemingly trivial routine becomes a thread in the tapestry of who we are, interweaving moments of triumph and struggle alike. Over time, the everyday choices, the repeated gestures of care or neglect, accumulate to form a portrait of our inner lives. It is in these quiet moments, when we choose to smile at a stranger, when we pick up that book instead of succumbing to a mindless distraction, or when we pause to reflect rather than react, that the architecture of our destiny is laid down brick by mindful brick. Yet these habits are neither inherently virtuous nor overtly destructive. They simply exist, carrying the weight of past decisions and paving the road toward our future self. They often creep into our lives so imperceptibly that we scarcely notice their presence until they have cemented themselves into the foundation of our behavior. It is like the soft pat of rain that gradually transforms the landscape, nourishing seeds long dormant until they burst forth into vibrant life, or conversely, the steady erosion that wears down the strongest rock. This dichotomy is what renders habits so powerful. They have the potential to either elevate us or confine us, to build bridges towards our dreams or walls that keep us chained to old ways of thinking and being. Consider the delicate act of nurturing a good habit. It begins with the tender seed of intention planted in the fertile soil of our desires. With time and consistent care, that seed begins to sprout, pushing its way up through the layers of our skepticism and hesitation. In its early stages, the growth is fragile and unremarkable, easily overlooked amid the cacophony of everyday life. However, as days turn into weeks, into months, that habit takes root, its branches extending into every corner of our existence. The mere act of rising each day with purpose of engaging with the world with a steadiness that comes from routine becomes as natural as breathing. In these moments, the quiet craftsmanship of habit asserts itself, reaffirming that change, whether small and incremental or vast and sweeping, is not a capricious force but an organic unfolding of our inner potential. At times, the habits we once embraced can become like stubborn bricks in a fortress, creating barriers that prevent our spirit from soaring as high as it might. These habits, born of comfort and familiarity, can transform into invisible obstacles that trap us in cycles of mediocrity, preventing us from reaching for the vast, uncharted territories of possibility. When we take the time to reflect, we begin to understand that not every habit is meant to serve us, and that some have become relics of a past self, a self that no longer defines the person we yearn to become. In the quiet moments of introspection, we realize that the architecture built by these habits is not immutable. It is a living, breathing construct that can be dismantled and rebuilt with intention. The realization that we hold the tools to reshape our own lives is both humbling and liberating, for it grants us the power to erase the boundaries imposed by our old ways and to script a future that resonates with our deepest aspirations. There is a silent dignity in the process of reshaping what has long been taken for granted. It is not a radical renunciation of who we were, but an honest dialogue with the self, a conversation that acknowledges the lessons of the past while daring to imagine a more expansive horizon. In this dialogue, we learn that every habit, however deeply entrenched, carries with it both the memory of old pains and the promise of new beginnings. Even the habits that once led us astray can, with a shift in perspective, serve as stepping stones toward a more enlightened, fulfilling existence. When we confront these habits with a compassionate yet steadfast resolve, we honor the complexity of our journey and the resilience woven into our spirit. There is something profoundly human about the way habits govern our lives. They are the silent metronomes of our days, setting the rhythm of our actions with a consistency that is both comforting and at times confining. As we navigate the labyrinth of our daily routines, we discover that the patterns we form are reflections of our choices. A mosaic of moments that reveal the contours of our character. In the quiet pauses between these moments, there is space for renewal and reinvention. It is in that space where we may choose to nurture new habits, to replace the rigid with the flexible, to infuse our lives with the fresh energy of possibility. The transformative potential of such choices lies in the understanding that habits are not fixed monuments, but dynamic expressions of who we are, continuously evolving as we learn and grow. To live is to be shaped by the habits we forge over time, like clay molded by the gentle hands of a patient potter. Each day offers a new opportunity to sculpt the contours of our life, to add a detail here or smooth over a rough edge there. In this perpetual act of creation, the quiet architects of our habits work tirelessly to construct a life that is uniquely our own. A life where each repeated action becomes a verse in a larger, ongoing epic of self-discovery. And so as we move through the tapestry of our existence, we come to realize that habits, with all their subtlety and persistence, are the very essence of our human story. They remind us that even in the mundane and the routine, there lies a profound beauty. A beauty born not of grand gestures, but of the quiet, consistent efforts that define our everyday life. There exists a silent moment in every life when the mirror of truth reflects back not only the surface of our everyday selves, but the raw, unadorned essence of our inner being. To face that reflection, to confront the self with unwavering honesty, is an act of courage that transcends ordinary bravery. It is not merely the decision to acknowledge what lies beneath the veneer of our daily performance, but rather a profound journey into the depths of our vulnerabilities and strengths alike. In those moments when the heart beats faster at the thought of unmasking its secrets, true transformation begins. It is the courage to acknowledge every scar and every triumph, to see that the imperfections we carry are not signs of weakness, but the very proof of a life bravely lived, each experience etching wisdom into the fabric of our souls. The journey inward is a winding path paved with doubts and revelations that challenge our very notion of identity. One must recognize that our inner landscapes are as varied and unpredictable as the nature of the human spirit itself. To confront oneself is to wade through past regrets and buried dreams, to unravel the tangled threads of old It is a pilgrimage through memories tinted with joy and sorrow, victories celebrated quietly in the recesses of our hearts, and moments of failure that have become our most honest teachers. This unyielding confrontation requires not just strength, but a deep, abiding love for oneself, a willingness to sit with every emotion, no matter how painful, and to learn from it with a compassionate heart. There is an exquisite vulnerability in this act. It demands that we strip away our armor and face the world as we are, unencumbered by the falsehoods we have often embraced. It is in that state of raw authenticity that we begin to understand the interplay between light and shadow within us. Every fear, every hope, every longing converges into a single, undeniable truth. Our true self exists beyond the roles we have been assigned, beyond the expectations of society and the limitations we impose on ourselves. To stand before oneself and embrace that truth is to engage in a dialogue with the deepest parts of our being, to question the narratives we have been told, and to allow a new story to emerge, one that is birthed from the honesty of our inner voice. This confrontation is not without its trials. Often the parts of us we have long concealed, our mistakes, our regrets, those moments of failure, loom large like specters in the dim light of recollection. Yet it is precisely in this confrontation that the seeds of redemption are sown. When we dare to see our missteps not as irredeemable flaws, but as integral chapters in our personal saga, we open ourselves to a level of growth that is both profound and liberating. It is a moment of reckoning when the weighted burden of past misjudgments is lifted by the simple act of sincere introspection. In doing so, we acknowledge that self-forgiveness is as much a part of the human journey as the pursuit of success or happiness. As we peel back the layers of our own narrative, we often find that the process is fraught with discomfort and heartache. The memories that surface may cut deep, their edges sharp with the sting of ancient wounds, and yet there is an undeniable power in facing these remnants of our former selves. In those instances, courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to feel it, to let it pass through us and emerge on the other side stronger and more complete. We learn that our capacity to endure is matched only by our potential to heal. Each tear shed in the quiet solitude of self-examination is a testament to the immense strength it takes to live authentically, to honor every facet of our being, even the parts we once considered unworthy. This inner reckoning demands a level of introspection that is both humbling and transformative. It is a call to dismantle the walls we have built around our hearts, brick by brick, until we are left with the unfiltered essence of who we truly are. There is within this process a fierce and unapologetic. It is found in the recognition that every betrayal we have suffered, every disappointment that has darkened our days, has also bestowed upon us an invaluable lesson about resilience, courage, and the capacity for change. To confront oneself is not to succumb to despair over what has been lost, but rather to celebrate the gift of life in its most honest form, a form that is unburdened by pretense and rich with the flavors of lived experience. In the solitude of self-reflection, the whispers of our true selves begin to speak louder than the clamor of external expectation. There is clarity to be found here, a clarity that emerges only when we cast aside the masks we have worn for far too long. It is a slow, deliberate process of unlearning the lies we have told ourselves, the insecurities, the self-doubt, the echo of voices that have always sought to diminish our life. And as we stand in that space of serene vulnerability, we find that the act of confronting ourselves is also an act of profound liberation. Freeing ourselves from the shackles of illusion, we allow our inner truth to shine forth undimmed by the criticism and judgment that once held sway over our lives. Courage in this context takes on many forms. It may present itself as the quiet resolve to face another day with the knowledge of our imperfections, or the bold declaration that our mistakes do not define us but refine us. It is the strength to be honest with ourselves even when the truth is hard to bear, and to push forward step by step into the uncharted territory of self-discovery. The journey inward is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a spirit that despite all odds continues to beat with hope and determination. It is a journey that reminds us that the most formidable battles are often fought within, in the silent chambers of our own hearts, and that every victory in that realm is a triumph of life itself. There is something deeply sacred in the act of self-confrontation. It is a communion with all that we are, a merging of our past with the promise of what we might yet become. In those quiet moments of reckoning, we are not merely examining our flaws. We are also uncovering the treasures hidden within our being, strength, wisdom, compassion, and an unwavering spark of potential that has waited patiently to acknowledge. To dare to face oneself is to unlock these dormant gifts, to allow them to illuminate the dark corners of our existence and guide us towards a future that is richer, deeper, and more authentic than we ever imagined possible. Each heartbeat carries with it a silent promise. A promise that even in the face of our most daunting truths, we possess the fortitude to emerge whole. And so, in the intimate silence of self-examination, we find that true courage is not measured by the absence of fear, but by our willingness to embrace it, to let it transform us, and to rise from it with a renewed sense of self. There is a sublime magnificence in knowing that every step it is in this sacred space of authenticity where the true alchemy of transformation takes place, and the journey of becoming becomes a dance of light and shadow, forever intertwined in the eternal pursuit of wholeness. In the quiet moments of our lives, when the weight of the world seems to press upon us, there emerges a gentle yet insistent call that urges our spirit to rise. It is a call that is as timeless as the rising sun and as persistent as the waves that kiss the shore. This call, delicate in its whisper yet profound in its meaning, invites us to look within our hearts and see the strength that has always dwelt there, waiting patiently beneath layers of doubts and fear. It is a call to stand taller, to shed the invisible anchors of past hurts and self-imposed limitations, and to embrace the possibility of transformation with an open, unguarded heart. In every soul there exists a reservoir of untapped power, a reservoir that gathers the remnants of every hope and every dream, even if those dreams have been dimmed by the bleakness of circumstance. This call to rise is not a matter of bravado or triumphal declarations. It is a subtle invitation extended by life itself, a reminder that our spirit was never meant to be confined by the boundaries of what we once believed possible. It dares us to step out from the shadow of our own inhibitions, to cast aside the heavy cloaks of regret and sorrow, and to dare to soar on wings crafted from resilience and hope. When we listen to the whisper of this call, we begin to see that each moment is an opportunity to redefine who we are. It is as if life, with its gentle insistence, reminds us that we are not meant to remain lodged in the familiar trenches of our despair. Rather, there is an endless sky above us, vast and full of promise, urging us to rise and claim our rightful place within it. With each inhalation, we draw in courage, and with every exhalation, we let go of the limitations that once held us down. In this delicate exchange, our souls are rekindled, and we find that the power to change lies not in the external world, but within the quiet determination of our own hearts. There is a transformative grace in shedding what weighs us down, the unproductive habits of thought, the outdated beliefs about our worth, and the lingering memories that echo with the sound of past failure. As we gently peel away these layers, we unearth the luminous core of our being, a core that is resilient, vibrant, and filled with an unspoken promise of renewal. This process, though fraught with moments of hesitation, is in itself a form of rising, a subtle yet vital shift that enables us to stand with unwavering dignity in the face of adversity. It reminds us that no matter how deeply we have been buried under the weight of our own insecurities, the sunrise always comes, casting light upon even the darkest corners of our existence. To rise is to accept that life is a series of rebirths. With every challenge we face, every setback that tests our resolve, there is a promise of a new beginning waiting to unfold. It is in these moments of struggle that our innermost strength is tested, and it is this strength that fuels our ascent. Each failure is not a testament to our inadequacy, but a stepping stone that, when embraced with humility and persistence, becomes part of a larger tapestry of growth. To rise is to see that within every defeat lies the potential for resurrection, that the same soil that once cradled our dreams can, when tilled with care and determination, yield a harvest of hope and achievement. There is also a profound interconnectedness in this rising. When one soul decides to break free from its own chains, it ignites a spark that can set aflame the darkness in the hearts of others. This shared journey toward liberation creates a tapestry of human experience where every individual act of rising serves as a beacon of possibility. In the soft murmur of our collective ascent, we find comfort and strength, realizing that our struggles and triumphs are interwoven into the grand symphony of existence. Each time we choose to rise, we contribute a note to this eternal melody, a melody that speaks of perseverance, dignity, and the quiet power of resilience. In the act of rising, there is also an inherent declaration of self-respect. By standing tall, we assert our right to be seen, to be heard, and to be valued not for the scars we bear, but for the light that shines through them. It is a defiant act against the notion that our past should dictate the contours of our future. Every step we take upward, every decision to move forward despite the odds, is a celebration of our humanity, a celebration of the imperfections that make us beautifully real. To rise, then, is to honor the journey, to acknowledge that each moment, no matter how fraught with difficulty, is a precious opportunity to reconnect with the essence of who we are. There is a poetic rhythm in the act of rising, a cadence that mirrors the heartbeat of the universe. It is the same pulse that thrums in the morning dew and the quiet rustling of leaves in a gentle breeze. This rhythm reminds us that our lives, though marked by struggles, are also capable of moments of sublime beauty and transcendence. As we gather the courage to rise, we are drawn into a timeless dance, a dance that celebrates both the struggle and the triumph of the human spirit. In every step of this dance, there is the unmistakable sense of reclaiming our power, of boldly defying the gravity of circumstance to soar toward the light. The journey of rising is not always a solitary one. It is often accompanied by the silent support of those who, having once known the depths of despair themselves, now stand as living testaments to the possibility of renewal. Their stories, interwoven with ours in subtle and intricate ways, serve as gentle reminders that the path to rising is both universal and deeply personal. In their struggles, we see reflections of our own, and in their triumphs, we catch glimpses of a future that is rich with promise. Together, our collective voices form a resounding chorus of hope, each one carrying its own melody, yet harmonizing in a shared anthem of resilience. As we take one bold step after another toward liberation, we find that the act of rising demands a tender commitment to self-care. It calls upon us to nurture our bodies, minds, and souls with the same gentleness and persistence that we afford to the ones we love. In those quiet moments of introspection and self-compassion, we discover the profound truth that rising does not mean denying our past or the pain we have endured. Rather, it is about embracing all that has shaped us and choosing to let go of what no longer serves our spirit. In this delicate balance between acceptance and aspiration, we are empowered to create a life that is not a mere echo of our regrets, but a bold declaration of our potential. In the embrace of each new dawn, there is a silent promise, a promise that no matter how heavy our burdens may be, there is always the possibility of rising again. It is a promise that defies the inevitable despair and whispers of a future where every wound is a wellspring of strength, and every setback is the precursor to a renewed spirit. With every rising, we write new verses in the epic poem of our lives, verses that speak not of defeat, but of an unyielding determination to live fully, to love deeply, and to shine brightly even in the darkest hours. In this quiet, relentless journey of rising, every breath becomes a testament to our undying resolve, every heartbeat a reminder that within us lies the power to. It is an ongoing story of transformation, where each moment of courage contributes to the unfolding narrative of who we are meant to be, a narrative of perpetual ascent where our spirit